To be a woman in Oriel is, you know, it's, I don't know.
Is it not just the same as being a young student?
Pressurised. Exciting.
Liberating.
I mean, I'd like to think it isn't different. I'd like to think there isn't, you know, an obvious difference in the way you're treated.
I would say stressful.
Happy. One word, challenging.
In day-to-day interactions, there's not much difference.
I have absolutely no idea what it's like to be a woman.
Overlooked, I think. Overlooked. I've been to tutorials where the phrase, yes, but if I were to rape, name a female student. Yeah, and that's not the kind of thing that was happening to male students.
A man in Oriel. Easy.
Easier.
I'd say it's easier.
Comfortable.
For men, I think it's easier to not think of gender as a thing because it doesn't adversely affect them in as many or as obvious ways.
Still stressful, but less stressful.
I think women, at least in college from what I can tell, are more actively working to break out of stereotypes than boys. So I don't know if it's easier, but I think there is more of a conscious effort to do so.
Also challenging.
Bravado, I guess.
If you're not someone who, I don't know, finds rowing or rugby or football particularly interesting, well then you might not meet stereotypical expectations of the male culture in college.
Don't know, maybe a lad.
Maybe that's just a stigma that's placed on men where it feels like they have to pull the nights out.
That's not necessarily something that all of the men enjoy as well. I'm sure there are lots of people that don't like that as well.
Overwhelming.
I think it's more fun.
Females that do the best within the oral environment are the ones that can deal with the laddishness.
Obviously the whole history of this college, and that they were one of the last to admit women.
That's lad and banter, being on top.
Feminism to me is that, that all the sexes are equal for a start.
With a specific focus on the idea that femininity is not worse or weaker than masculinity.
I'd say there's idealist feminism, and then there's just extreme.
For me, it's women being able to have a choice to do whatever they want. You can be a feminist and shave your legs, you can be a feminist and never shave your legs.
Issues that women face, but also issues that men face.
I think a lot of people dislike the term feminism and would rather say egalitarian maybe.
Sometimes people think feminism has to be really extreme and sort of some of the stories you read about in the papers, but it's quite, I think of it quite simply, it's just having the same opportunities as a man.
You can be a feminist and be a stay-at-home mom, you can be a feminist and be a CEO of a company. It's just about having the choice that men get to do whatever they want.
Some people see it as some sort of battle of sexes. I mean, it just comes down to common sense.
Striving to, reduce the gender pay gap, for instance.
Men don't get as much paternity leave, or they don't custody of children, but that's rooted in the fact that women are seen as we have to bring up the children. So if we can solve those issues, then it will benefit everyone, and then everyone will be equal.
Not taking loads of bullshit from a lot of idiots.
I know a lot of people have problems with first world feminism and when women in Saudi Arabia are at such a disadvantage. But I think that you can't really level out all of the problems and say just because the smaller ones are smaller doesn't mean they're not an issue.
Feminism is equality between men and women.
I wouldn't, no, I don't think I have. I've never been made to feel uncomfortable.
13 or something, just walking around and having men shout things at you or something. I don't know if I just look more scary now, probably not.
No, initially, I guess.
I've only had minor incidents, for example in clubs, with people grabbing me and touching me.
Not that many times actually. I think the only times really is not so much in college, but at a few societies where it's quite heavily sort of male dominant.
Not really. There's been times where I've thought, I don't know where, like, why my gender would come into that. Like, say, I think someone walked past me one time when I was talking and said, "That's because you're a white male," as if that was some sort of like, argument against what I was saying.
Well, I come from a country where women are legally, socially, culturally, religiously seen as being inferior to men. So yeah, when I'm at home, I feel not more vulnerable, but I'm actively conscious of the fact that I'm seen as being inferior to my brothers, for example.
I think there are always things like getting catcalled and like weird men grinding up on you in clubs, but I think that's kind of, I don't know if people have just accepted that that's a thing that happens, but it doesn't seem that big a deal.
Personally, I guess it is easier to let it just happen, and a lot of the times you do just like let it happen and all the banter happen and you're like, ugh. But I think the trouble is that as women, you're used to not questioning a lot of the shit that goes on.
And sometimes you feel like maybe you can't stand up and voice what you think.
And then if you do try and kick up a fuss about that, you're seen as deliberately trying to make a fuss.
I mean, I've never felt uncomfortable because of my gender.
And likewise, if a drunk woman was getting all up on a man in a club, I'd be like, yeah, that's weird.
Equality looks like men and women being different and acting differently, because that's what we do, and not feeling like one of us has more or less worth because of that.
Equality is justice.
I think it's just having the same opportunities and not feeling like you can't do something because of something about you that you can't change.
Recognition that women are sort of as capable in anything as men are, and appreciating that and trying to bring that into real life.
Being gender blind, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, because it's nice to be a woman.
And obviously you have to realise that in some respects women are better off than men, and in some respects they're worse off.
People in Sudan might be fighting to have the same like land ownership rights or like custody rights as men, but when people here are having different problems, it doesn't mean their problems are like less important. It just means that that's the problems that they're facing. Those are the problems that they're facing.
For me, equality is literally just equal rights between men and women. They can do the same things. No one gives a damn.
And sometimes that means adjusting for inequality before getting there. So you can't expect, a person who's 5 foot tall and a person who's 6 foot tall to be able to reach the same height. So you kind of need to give someone a box to stand on before they can get to that level.